It's a pleasure now to go to Zurich, where we're joined by Annika Schroeder. Annika, thanks for joining us.
Great for having me. Thank you.
All right, so we're here at Mind the Tech, and we're talking about AI, and you have a very important role at UBS. Can you tell us a bit about how you reached that position and what it is you do?
Sure, absolutely. So my official title is Head of AI Center of Excellence. I have been working with UBS since 2015, and I've come into this role through starting in a central innovation function. So I've come into this from an innovation manager position and then picked up the specific topic angle over time.
Now, please share with our viewers briefly what it is that UBS does with artificial intelligence, especially in the field of financial services.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me start by actually defining artificial intelligence a little bit better. The capabilities that we are actually looking at UBS span across everything around machine learning primarily. So I'd like to be very precise on that. Yeah. But we're looking at all the different capabilities that you can achieve with machine learning. So we're looking at natural language processing and all of its sub-capabilities like sentiment analytics or chatbots or machine translation. We're looking at computer vision, and we're also looking at voice transcription and authentication. So these are kind of the capabilities, but it really spans across all areas. So it really gets applied front to back across the front, middle, and back office.
Now, UBS has kind of taken artificial intelligence or machine learning, to be more precise, as you mentioned, and went all in on it. You even established this Center of Excellence. Can you tell us a bit more about that, its function and its role in the organization?
Absolutely, yeah. So we are a part of the central technology function. We're embedded in the infrastructure and security engineering department. And what we do is really provide support around innovation and research. So we support ideation, the establishment of proofs of concept around all AI capabilities. We help people scope out their hypotheses and their ambitions and execute proofs of concept in our research and development labs. We also look at AI governance topics, look at what regulators are issuing in terms of regulation, in terms of guidelines and principles and such, and look at where we need to sharpen our controls. We look at ecosystem engagements. So we have a whole ecosystem of several hundred startups, tech companies, academic partners, industry associations, and the likes that we're collaborating with in different engagements. We're trying to move ahead standardization, trying to work through some of the foundations that still need to get put in place. So we're really engaged in a lot of different things around AI as a center of excellence.
Now, so you're at the start of the process, at the research development stage. Can you explain a bit to our viewers and to me what goes through the process between what you're doing and then when it's finally adopted by the organization at large?
Mm-hmm. So we, of course, we do have quite a lot of adoptions of machine learning systems already in the bank. So in some areas, it's actually quite mature and it's been in production for quite a while. So what we do is we adopt a very scientific and diligent process around the experimentation. That's really essential because machine learning systems tend to learn and get better over time, but they do get it wrong in a significant amount of time. So we really have to be very diligent in scoping out our testing, making sure that we have the right data going in, that we have the right algorithm to apply, the right goals set to achieve, that we validate very, very diligently and test very diligently. So this is all part of a process that can to a large extent be reused in the implementation. So once we have proven a hypothesis around performance of a machine learning system, the path goes through the business divisions who then are deciding whether to invest in a certain technology and build it out into production. And then they productionize it according to our normal sort of IT investment life cycle.
Right. Now, so obviously you've got a lot of activities, operations going on there at the center, but are there instances where you have to seek outside of the company and the expertise that you have in terms of other startups, other innovations that aren't homegrown?
Absolutely. So, and whatever we do for every use case, because they are very specific, we apply a very conscious decision around make or buy, essentially. For everything you do, you have that option to create a machine learning model on your own, if that is feasible, or to go out to the market, work with an academic partner, or work with a big tech, work with a startup, whatever it may be, or even work in a consortium. And what we apply is a very rigorous decision process, so we make those decisions consciously. Meaning that for every use case, we'll look at its criticality, we look at whether the data secrecy levels make it adequate to do this internally, and many other considerations eventually leading to such a conscious decision. So yeah, we do work with external partners quite a lot. We do accept lots and lots of pitches also from startups. We work with academic partners all across the US, Europe, and APAC, and we have something called the Future of Finance Challenge every 2 years, which is a startup challenge where UBS puts out specific problems that startups can apply to, so actual business problems. And we take them through a whole selection process, we take them through mentoring, and we actually end up working with quite a lot of those startups eventually on POC and sometimes also buy their products, become partners.
Fantastic. Now, I'm speaking to you today from Israel. UBS has a team here. Can you tell us a bit about what it is they do and how you integrate?
Yeah. So UBS, of course, has been in Israel with our wealth management business, for instance, for quite a while already, for many years. So we've been actively watching Israel as a interesting ground for technology development for many years already. So from that scouting, we've come to a conclusion that it is definitely, a region to be reckoned with. There's so much great tech talent there. So we are building a team at the moment of technology experts in Israel. So that is very much underway. So yeah, we're really counting on the great tech talent that is there.
Can I take a step back and look a bit to the future? How significant are these technologies going to be, specifically for the financial sector in the next 5 to 10 years? Are we going to see banks or financial institutions kind of be run essentially by machines, or is that science fiction for you?
I would say that's probably still a little bit away, but now is really the time to be giving this topic a lot of attention, I would say, definitely, because we've never before seen such a favorable combination of data, of algorithms, of affordable storage through cloud technologies, and of course of talents. There's a lot of graduate talents coming out of the data science master's programs and such. So that makes it really viable to, for the first time on a really scalable level, expand the activities in AI. We are very far away still from general purpose machine intelligence, right? Some say this is still decades ahead. Mm-hmm. But in specific applications or narrow applications, as we tend to say, such as building a better client understanding or predicting stock prices or doing compliance tasks, for instance, there it can already be applied very beneficially. So it is going to be relatively disruptive in the long term. Right now, it's a very phased and gradual deployment of these AI technologies in narrow and specific areas. So the important thing is that you do this very consciously, very gradually, in a very controlled manner. I think the chance that everything will be automated, you don't have to deploy AI technologies to automate every process. You can keep the human in the loop. You can choose to augment the human process instead of just completely automating a task. So this will be a step-by-step journey. So I tend to say it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Great. Now, you mentioned earlier about regulators. How big a part do they play, and how do you even go about regulating technology that's, as you said, it's still in early stages and has a lot to progress? And what kind of agencies can even regulate something that's so global and so international?
So this is really interesting to watch at the moment, because there are, of course, a lot of regulators and a lot of policymakers who are looking at this, who are increasingly, investigating the potential, but also the challenges of AI, and forming working groups and similar things, and not just on the national level. Across the US, across EMEA, across APAC, you already have some banking regulators, for instance, that have released principles around AI. Mm-hmm. And principle speaks a lot, because these guidances or these papers that get issued, they are primarily principles-based so far. So they circle around things such as explainability. They circle around things such as our concepts of fairness being respected, keeping AI systems discrimination-free and fair, and free of biases. So they are very much focusing on very specific topics that are known as challenges. But there's also working groups that are separate from national policymakers. There's institutions like the European Union, or supranational, supra-regional institutions that are looking at this. So this is very much evolving. What you can also see is that some topics, common opinions are already forming. So just the few items where the media has put a lot of attention to challenges around AI, such as recruiting-centric algorithms, such as face recognition, often being around the discrimination potential in these algorithms. So these are getting a lot of attention, and common opinions are forming.
Annika, thank you very much. A fascinating topic, and great to hear from you, to see and hear what UBS is doing in the field. From Zurich in Switzerland, back to Tel Aviv, thank you very much.
Pleasure.